I am George Edward Roddick Jr. I go by Eddie, never like being called George.
And what do other people call you in town?
The quad guy.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Guess who I just saw with his hands in the air, his bandana waving? It was Quad Man.
I just saw him when I was grabbing a Presta coffee at the Mercado this morning.
Tucson quad guy comes around the corner, and all of a sudden, my bad day became a good one.
When I'm driving down the road and my eye catches a glimpse of Quad Man, I know it's gonna be a good day.
I just love this grown man living his life the way he wants.
I classify myself as a Europeanized Persian American. My parents traveled a lot. My dad was a pilot, full bird colonel in the United States Army Air Corps, and then he was a commercial airline pilot, and he met my mother in Iran. She was a stewardess, he was a captain, and I love to tell everybody it was coffee, tea, or me, conceived in the cockpit. When he retired, we were supposed to go to Colorado. He was going to buy a fishing resort. Can you imagine? That would have been awesome. You know, but he came here and he bought a liquor store. And then they got divorced, and I was shipped off to boarding school in England and then 11th grade in Iran. And then my mother shipped me off here to a private boarding school, Fenster in Sabino Canyon. And you talk about culture shock. You go to an English boarding school for 2 years with uniforms, barbers, very strict, and then you go to Fenster boarding school that was co-ed. The girls were just across the lawn on the other side in a dorm. And, you know, I enjoyed Fenster boarding school. I was married twice. First time was 3 years. Debbie left, and my mother came over. She goes, I told you she would leave you. You know, and I said, I know. Impetuous as I was, I had this photograph of a family friend in Iran. Next thing you know, I'm on the phone. I said, do you want to come to America and get married? She goes, I don't know you. I said, well, come to America. We got married 2 months later. And then, so anyway, she divorced me. It's kind of devastating for me, and my routine changed, and I've taken up karate. I got my black belt, and I took my quad to karate and LA Fitness, and then I realized that it was fun, and I got there a lot faster. It was much more maneuverable in traffic, and that's how I got on the quad, and my lifestyle changed somewhat. The more I drove around Tucson, the more interesting it became. You can drive around downtown and pass by several bus stops, and people are shouting and smiling at you, and you experience that, and you smile inside, and you turn the corner, and somebody goes, loser! Mixed emotions around town, yeah. During the day, Bruce Wayne and Batman kind of persona. I get up and go to work, and I run a company about with 30, 40 employees. We're landscape contractors.
Everybody who talks to him likes him. People that don't talk to him, they just look and wonder. Yeah, because he's driving a little wild sometimes.
It's great to talk to him about world experiences. He has a very, a lot looser look on life than most people, and I find it very refreshing. He encourages you to just enjoy life.
Apparently it was a couple of girls, and they started an Instagram page for the Tucson Quad Guy, and I was a bit flattered. And then every once in a while I get tagged, you know, there's a picture of me on 4th Avenue or somewhere in town. It's like Sasquatch sightings. There was a young kid from Turkey. He was going to school here, and he saw me, and first time I saw him, he was wearing, you know, Dockers and a polo shirt. And all of a sudden I showed up here one day, and he jumped out of his seat, and he was dressed exactly like me, and it was the strangest thing in the world. And then he'd say, let's go get pizza, and I go, not together. Depends on what kind of mood I'm in. If I head down the drive and down the mountains and head into town, if my ass is shaking back and forth, I'm listening to Shakira. If I'm leaning forward and my head is bopping up and down, I'm listening to AC/DC. If it's a stormy night and I'm headed back at night, I'm either listening to Pink Floyd or Enya. People go, why do you go in the desert when it's 110? And I go, because there's nobody else out there, and it's a surreal experience. The earth is like scorched crack mud, and there's no live vegetation, and all of a sudden you see that dark cloud coming in, and you hear the sound of thunder, and it comes and it moves in fast, and it's a deluge. And you sit down on the side of your quad, and you put your feet into 2 inches of water. The entire desert is now a shimmering lake of mercury with these apparitions of ghost-like dead mesquite trees coming out of the ground, and you're sitting there with a can of sardines and a military poncho in the rain, and you feel like it's the movie Apocalypto. You pray, you think about the day, and you think about how you handle things, and that's part of the growth process in life, I guess. You sit on the side of a mountain and look over the valley, and you know the spirit of the Ancient One, she's sitting right next to you while you watch.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Quad Guy is what I love about Tucson, Arizona. Encapsulated in a man. The incarnation of the word freedom.